So, out on Europe's eastern edge, the Baltic states are getting ready. But they're not just fortifying their borders, they're fortifying their entire societies. And this isn't just about preparing for a potential war, it's a battle for the very fabric of life on what has become a new front line. Our story really kicks off right here on the Friendship Bridge. It connects Narva in Estonia with Ivangorod in Russia. For years, this bridge was a symbol of growing trade, of this hopeful connection between East and West. Well, today, that hope is pretty much gone. The bridge is blocked by these concrete dragon's teeth and rows of barbed wire. Only a small trickle of pedestrians can even get across. What was once a symbol of friendship has now become a symbol of a deep and, frankly, dangerous freeze in relations. And the people who live here? They're just caught in the middle of it all. In military war games, their city is often the theoretical starting point for the next war. There's even a name for it, Narva Next. And as the mayor, Katri Reich, says, and you can't put it more bluntly than this, they hate it. This isn't some game to them, right? This is their home. The tension you feel in Narva, it's really a small snapshot of a much, much bigger situation. We're looking at a whole new reality taking hold along what you could call Europe's unquiet frontier, a state that isn't exactly war, but it is a long, long way from peace. And this state of enforced vigilance, that's the reality across more than 1,000 kilometers of border with Russia and its allied Belarus. It's a reality that's just battering local economies and planting these seeds of deep mistrust, not just across the border, but between the government and its own residents. It's a two-way street of suspicion.
So the big question is, how do you respond to a threat like this? Well, the first answer is a physical one. The Baltic states are literally building what you might call a Baltic wall, a whole line of fortifications born from a pretty stark geographical reality. This quote from Justina Bujimaide-Froli at the Atlantic Council just nails the heart of their strategy. These countries are just too small. They can't trade space for time like a larger country might. There's literally nowhere to fall back to. So for them, they have to hold the line from the very first day. And this strategy comes directly from the biggest lesson they've learned by watching Ukraine. The incredible resilience the Ukrainians showed in those early days, that convinced the West that their cause was worth supporting with massive amounts of aid. The Baltics know they have to do the exact same thing, prove they can hold on, and prove they're worth saving. But here's the thing, holding that line from day one isn't just a job for soldiers, not even close. It requires an entire nation to be ready. And that leads to a much deeper, much more difficult question. How on earth do you get an entire civilian population ready for this kind of threat without causing mass panic and despair? The answer, it turns out, is a massive push in what's called civil defense. It's an effort to build resilience from the ground up. And this isn't just some government program. It's about individual citizens taking responsibility for their own survival. Just look at someone like Ada Urbanaitė in Lithuania. By day, she's a project manager at a big global payments company. But in her other life, she's a soldier in the military reserve. And now, as a side hustle, she teaches civil defense to other civilians. She is the perfect example of this shift, where ordinary life and national defense are starting to become the same thing. Ada and others like her are teaching what she calls algorithms for survival. The idea is to give people simple, almost instinctive steps to follow in a crisis. Things like lay in enough supplies for 72 hours, learn basic first aid. The whole goal is self-sufficiency, so that in a major emergency, people aren't flooding the system with problems they could have handled themselves. But actually getting people to engage with this, that is the hardest part. After authorities in Vilnius delivered 150,000 civil defense manuals, they put a QR code inside for people to volunteer for drills. So how many people do you think scanned it and signed up? Just 10. 10 people. It's a shocking statistic that just shows you the deep-seated anxiety and maybe even denial that planners are really up against. And that reluctance, that hesitation to get involved, it points to a whole other front line, one without trenches, one that's a battle for trust. The fight isn't just against a potential invader, but against the forces of division and disinformation that are already hard at work inside their own societies. This is what you'll hear experts call hybrid war. It's conflict fought in the gray zone, using everything but open warfare. We're talking cyber attacks, propaganda, even weaponizing migrants at the border. All of it designed to weaken a country from the inside out, to break down trust and create chaos before a single shot is ever fired. Now, If you want to see how this works in practice, a good place to look is Latvia's eastern borderlands, especially the city of Daugavpils. This is where that hybrid war finds some really fertile ground and long-standing local problems. You have to understand, people here often feel totally disconnected from the capital, Riga. Russian is the main language everyone speaks, and sometimes it's literally easier to get TV signals from Belarus than from their own country. All this creates a deep, lingering sense of being abandoned and economically left behind. And of course, local populist politicians tap directly into that feeling. As one civic educator, Joran Dokiewicz, explains it, their whole strategy is to frame everything as a fight with Riga, where the central government is always the enemy and they are the victims. And that just drives a wedge right through the heart of national unity. So when you pull all of this together, you have to ask yourself, what's the ultimate price of living this way? What's the real cost of existing in a state of permanent, high-stakes vigilance? Well, the toll is immense. In Estonia, government surveys are showing a measurable rise in what they call war anxiety. In fact, the prime minister there has even linked this constant stress to a weaker economy and a falling birth rate. It's this shadow that just touches every single aspect of life. And maybe nothing sums up this huge shift better than this quote from Estonia's Prime Minister Kristen Michal. He said, "The essence of Europe is that it has been a peace project. Now it's an armed peace project. The entire core identity is changing." And that leaves us with one final, very difficult question. When a nation has to fortify itself, not just with concrete and wire, but against internal doubt, division, and despair, what is the true long-term cost of holding that line?